For more than 3 years, Manipur has remained trapped in a cycle of ethnic violence, but the state's trouble did not begin in 2023. Manipur has witnessed insurgency and armed movements that have shaped its modern history. Few people understand that journey. On this issue, I am joined by the man who led Band United National Liberation Front. He spent nearly a decade in prison before returning to Manipur. Today, he is calling for dialogue and reconciliation to Manipur's continuing crisis. Joining us for this special conversation is R K Meghen, popularly known as R K Meghen, former chairman of the UNLF. Thank you for joining me in this conversation.
Thank you for being here with you.
Let me begin this conversation by asking you that for decades, you led an armed movement. Today you are advocating peace, normalcy, communication between different communities. What changed your thinking?
Well, yes, very right. I have been since 1967, I have been in this struggle for a long time. As you said, spent about 10 years in a jail. But to make a long story short, the struggle was not just armed struggle. It was a struggle for, changing the livelihood of people of Manipur or of all the communities concerned. And in that sense, the struggle continues. The rights of the people as far as this is concerned. Leaving aside, I'm more concerned about the current violence, which is, now engulfing the entire Manipur. First Kuki Meite, then now Kuki Naga. So my purpose of coming to Delhi, I will tell you that, to meet the communities from Manipur cutting across, so that not from the political level, it's purely my personal initiative to address and talk to the communities concerned, to do a soul searching, speak out from the hearts, so that a small step towards peace can be initiated or not. That's it.
Mr. Megen, I'll come to the present crisis which continues to plague Manipur, but I do need to ask something about your past also. Do you believe violence ultimately failed to achieve the political objectives which various movements had set out to accomplish? Because ultimately today now you're talking about peace, reconciliation and dialogue.
Well, since that was in a different historical situation, and that has been a past, and that will have many people, different people will want to interpret in different ways, and I leave it to the people, those to understand, even if they want to believe or see me differently. But I'll continue. Today I'm no longer with the organization I lead. Now I'm more concerned about the, how our people, the entire communities, the entire distinct ethnic groups in Manipur, how they can live together in coexistence and interdependent coexistence. That is my message today. And as long as I'm now 81, and the remaining of my life I want to spend on that effort to bring about an understanding among all the communities.
Mr. Megen, how is this violence different from previous cycle of violence? If I may use a comparison and ask you, is it different?
Yes, different, very different. Because, the savagery that is accompanied with the violence from both sides initially is so high. I don't understand why it's being done this way. Maybe if a community has certain grievances against another community, there has been no such violence. Of course, during the Naga-Kui conflict, this has happened, but Kuki and Métis never happened. It never happened. So the question is, why this time is happening? So I strongly feel that the perpetrators, on both sides maybe, this thing, ulterior motive for engaging in such a violence, which you cannot describe it, simple words, to create hatred, a high degree of hatred among the two communities, so that it will continue on and on for decades to come.
Now it's not about two groups, there are three groups
Three groups now. Now Kuki, Naga again coming up. And the recent hostage crisis again added to another dimension. So here one important thing comes up, one question. From the hostage crisis, the 6 Nagas have been killed so brutally, cut into pieces. And the Kuki-Zo Council have owned up responsibility for this killing. And everybody is asking now, is there a government who will take action against this killing, if at all? This is the voice of the common people in Manipur. Not just Nagas, not just Manipur, Métis. Common people. I want to identify the common people on the line of ethnicity. And I think the entire Indian people should ask this question.
But will eye for an eye work? Even the pastors were killed.
Yes.
There was no accountability for that.
Yes, very much. So it's...
And they belong to the Kuki community.
Yeah, very right. It makes someone feel that, some sort of a free-for-all. Whoever comes out victorious, let's see the results, something like that. It's happening that way. This is what is worrying me very much. That's why I've come here to do some soul searching among the communities, so that community leaders, those influencers, join together and make a small initiative in this direction for the future of our generations yet to be born.
How do you win the confidence of the communities? Because in an average conversation, when you speak to hardline Métis, they will say, well, it's the issue of drugs, open border, Kukis migrating from Myanmar. If you speak to Kuki leadership, they'll say, well, nothing less than union territory, the Manipur has to be bifurcated. And now you have Nagas who have their point of view. With such hard positions, how do you reconcile them?
Well, I will not begin to discuss those hard issues. I'll begin from the heart. I'm meeting communities here. I'll meet in other places also. I'm going to meet the communities concerned. To speak out from the heart, whether this violence and that those related issues are bringing about, like drugs and whatnot, and separate administration. These are issues, which has to be addressed at a certain point of time. But building peace process, I strongly believe that it should begin with heart.
You're saying that you're working towards building a peace process, but peace also requires that people should also listen to the government,
right,
as government should listen to the people.
Right.
And there should not be space for any actors like insurgent groups, armed groups. What are your views on it? There's so many armed groups from various communities, armed to teeth.
Yeah. First thing, to stop the violence, present violence, continuing violence, the government has to take certain, steps, which the government is obliged. The violence could have been stopped in May 2023 when it began. It could have been stopped then and there with all the paramilitary and security forces deployed in Manipur. It would have taken even 5 hours to stop the violence. But then it didn't happen. It spread and spread and spread. Now spreading, engulfing the entire communities of Manipur. So the question is why it was not stopped. That is the question, big question.
I have a question. Okay, that's an important observation. Maybe, well, if I agree that's the failure of the administration, but the government changed the chief minister. But my question to you was, do you think that there is any space for insurgent groups and armed groups in the state? I'm asking you this question in great sincerity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'll have to make this thing 2 categories. The insurgent groups, it is for the government of India to engage them in talks to bring about a solution to the problem. But this violence, which began on May 3, 2023, this is something different.
The reason why I'm asking this question is that communities don't take an honest position. I mean to say, the Kukis will defend their insurgent groups, the Maitis will defend their insurgent groups, and the Nagas will defend their insurgent groups. If every community has one insurgent group, which is the holy cow, then what do you do?
Oh, well, that's right. But I think issues with insurgent groups is a different political matter. Of course, armed violence is involved, but then...
I'm talking to a person who has seen all that, who is 81 years old, and now using a different language.
No, I'm not using a different language. For me, the UNLF actually, it is based on the idea of Manipur. It is not a Meitei organization. The founder president was a Naga, our founder vice president was a Kuki, and the founder general secretary is a Meitei. So UNLF is not just an ethnic organization. It is an organization of all the communities inhabiting Manipur. So the idea of Manipur was there, and UNLF took care of all the communities, in whatever possible manner, possible way. I may observe here that when we were operating in Churasanpur and Farjol district, I have had occasion to meet people, villages there, and interact with them.
But Mr. Megen, don't you think that romanticization of armed struggle, Indian state has paid a price, police have died, armed forces, men in army, men in olives, they have paid the price, and the Union of India pays the price for that.
Yes, but then I will tell you, to the UNLF, armed struggle was not an end itself. We engaged ourselves in a democratic movement for a long time, 1964 till 1990. That was a period when the UNLF was engaged in a democratic movement. We began armed action only in 1990. That was when it was compelled, because from the 1980s, Armed Forces Special Powers Act was imposed in Manipur. Then huge militarization came, and it is in response to that the UNLF took up arms, not immediately after establishment. We always believe in democracy and democratic solution to the problem.
Now, do you, as a person, believe in the constitution of the country?
That is this thing. That is another matter. But we believe in the rights of the people of Manipur to get their due share for their development, their aspirations.
Fair enough. Yeah. But do you believe in the integrity of the country?
Integrity of India's integrity will always remain when people at the helm understands the situation in Manipur.
Okay, let me come back to the issue. Now, with the communities not talking to each other, when you were in Delhi, were you able to get all of them to sit together? because I will not name the organization. 3 years ago, a think tank tried to organize conversation, and I was there. The first day all the Meiteis came and the second day all the Cookies came. They refused to sit together in the room. And they were all very well-read people, respectable and influential members of the society. Were you able to get them together, make them sit together?
Well, my effort is, will be...
When you spoke to them?
My effort will be step by step. I don't intend to bring the communities together, right now. I am talking to them separately. And I'm finding, individuals who are sincerely and honestly, who wants to end the violence and bring about, understanding.
Mr. Megen, how big is the issue of drugs and illegal migration in Manipur?
Well, obviously it is big. Drugs. Drugs has been a menace in Manipur since the 80s. Coming across from the Golden Triangle, and now poppy cultivated in Manipur itself. It is being processed to brown sugar, heroin number 4, and it has become a huge economy. I mean, an economy parallel to the annual budget of the Manipur state. You can imagine 7,000 to 8,000 metric tons a year of opium. How much it will be? After processing to brown sugar and heroin number 4, it comes to about 20,000 crore rupees every year. Such a huge, and this has become a parallel economy.
Which cuts across communities?
Yes, very much. And just see, poppy cultivation, you use weedicide, pesticide, urea and whatnot. And during the rainy season, it was shipped down to the valley, where the valley people use this for drinking purposes. And it is a slow poisoning. And you can imagine what is the effect, what will be the effect on the people settled in the valley. Huge.
What sort of feedback you are getting from the people? Because it's not as if you have everyday violence, but it's not as if you have absence of violence in Manipur. I mean, say absence of violence is not peace. So you don't have peace in Manipur, but then you have sporadic violence, I mean to say, against communities, people, children, men, women, and even security forces.
See, violence is if some violence begins, counter-violence happens, and it becomes unstoppable in a vicious circle unless and until a superior force is applied to stop that. I think this is happening in Manipur right now. So my effort is not to address to those who are involved in the armed violence, but to responsible individuals, community leaders and intellectuals to do some soul searching where this violence is going to lead us to. I am addressing beyond the generations of this time. I want to address to the generations yet to be born. When this sort of violence highlighted by savage killings, there cannot be reconciliation decades to come. If so, then who will suffer? The future generations of all the communities will suffer. And then what is the purpose of that violence? Even if separate administration is given, the common people on that side, their future generations will suffer. What is the meaning of that political objective? My point is that. So, beginning from baby steps of understanding for the future generations, I think we can build block by block so that we can reach the political level, armed groups and come to understanding.
Why do you think you will be taken seriously on this issue of non-violence?
Because it concerns the future of Manipur, the entire people, not just one community. And it may affect the neighboring states as well, if allowed to continue indefinitely.
But how do you do that? I mean to say the entire state is armed to the teeth. When the violence broke in 2023, armories were looted. Yes. Lakhs and lakhs of weapons were taken away, and they were not pistols.
Yes.
I mean, so people ran away with
very much
HMG, heavy machine guns.
Very much, very much.
Grenades.
Yes, very much. So that is why I'm asking, why the violence was not stopped just when it began, on both sides. Why? So it makes me think that whether the violence is allowed to be continued for certain political considerations.
But then, it's very, I'm not here to defend any political party, but as a journalist, I have noticed that non-political actors exercise greater sway in Manipur. One day, Mehra Paibis can block the movement of Assam Rifles, and second day, women activists from Kuki community can block the movement of Manipur police if they don't want them to go there. At least the security forces had Nagas as neutral communities, and the to and fro was okay. Now you can't even have that, because now Nagas have also become party to the conflict. So you can't go to each other's territory. I think it's the most complex situation any state can find itself in.
Right, very much, very much. So the question is, those, involved in the violence, but I will tell you, this time, Nagas, it seems that they are being dragged into the conflict. They did not initiate the violence this time, but they were being...
What's your assessment? Why is that happening?
Because, you see, all feuds between the Kukis and Nagas, 92, 93, that happened that time. So one day it was bound to happen, between the Nagas and Kukis. But the question is, the Métis and Kukis had never any conflict, all frictions even. They got the districts they wanted. And there was no, reasonable, causes for resorting to such violence. Of course, Métis demanding a settled tribe status, I think that is not a serious issue. The demand was only by a section of Métis people. It was, I think, a mere pretext for the violence. I, for one, has all along did not endorse the demand of the Métis to be listed in the settled tribe of the Indian Constitution, because it doesn't solve the problem. Rather, it kicks up another contradiction. So, looking from a holistic viewpoint, all the communities will have their grievances. So, the violence also racks up one pertinent question. Why communities in Manipur cannot live in peace, respecting one another's distinct identities and, coexisting interdependently, and work for the development of the state from all sides. This is not happening.
Do you think that Manipur lacks political initiative?
Well, I strongly feel that since, let's take from 1972, that was the year when Manipur was elevated to full status. Yes. 1972 till now, at least 54 years, I think. In the last 54 years, I have not seen, comprehensive vision of how Manipur should be developed, economically, socially, and particularly taking into account the geography of Manipur. 9/10 of the area is in the hill areas, and only 1/10 is the valley. But the population is concentrated in the valley, small valley. Accordingly, the economic development of Manipur should have been, or rather, an economy which promotes interdependent coexistence between the hill and valley should have been developed in the last 54 years. 54 years is not a short time in the socio-economic development of a state. But there is no vision for that.
Now what do you do? So the Kukis are in the hills and the Meiteis are in the valleys, and in different parts of Manipur you have the Nagas. The internal homogenization of spaces is complete with this violence. People are not living with each other together, they are living in different areas.
So that makes me feel, that makes me think, if at all the violence was used to bring about that situation, segregation. Isn't it? Segregation was the objective of violence. And one is compelled to think. And if it is segregation, then the three communities is not going to live harmoniously for all time to come. Is this in the larger interest of India? Manipur being, segregated on ethnic lines.
What do you think should be done to ensure that there is some at least normal functioning in the states? I mean, communities capture highways, they don't let essential supplies go here and there. I mean to say, it also needs to flow from the people. I mean, as a journalist, it's very easy to say that they have not done their job, and army has not done the job, the police has not done the job, and the politicians have not done the job. Even people need to participate in the process.
Yes, that's what I say. It should begin from the common people to start understanding one another. That's why I'm here, to begin with. I'll find other people. I'm responsible, leaders, community leaders, so that we can create a platform for understanding.
So thank you so much for...
Thank you very much.